Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to my channel and another Phoenix real estate market update. If you can't tell, I am trying some new camera tricks here. Hopefully the background looks good. We'll see. I definitely don't want to re-record this, so fingers crossed I don't have to do this a second time. If you're watching this, that means that it worked out and I didn't have to re-record. Anyway, good news for buyers. That is the big news that I have for you guys this week. And the good news is that we seem to be following a seasonal trend this year. Last year, all of that was out the window, but this year, it seems as though we are following our typical seasonal trend where the number of contracts slows down in the summer and kind of tapers off through the year. So the reason that's good news for buyers is that you will probably have less competition if you can stick it out. And also, you might have more to choose from because our inventory is increasing pretty significantly. I mean, maybe significant isn't the right word, but steady. It's been a pretty steady increase with new listings coming to the market. So that's great news for buyers. We definitely have a lower number of contracts on a weekly basis now than we did in the past, and that's what's telling us that we're in our typical summer slowdown. The graph kind of aligns with what we've seen in past years as far as our trends. So on the buyer side, if you are hunting for a house and you're getting exhausted, keep it up because things might work in your favor a little bit more as you have less competition out there and hopefully some more inventory. But let's talk about the CMI, all right? If this is your first time, the CMI is the Cromford Market Index. None of this information is mine specifically. I get this from the Cromford Report, which is a subscription that I have, and they analyze data in the MLS on a daily basis and provide a ton of information for realtors to use and give to their clients. The CMI is one of the things that they've created, which is basically a mathematical equation that helps us understand supply and demand in our market. And it also is a predictor of price appreciation. All of this is specific to the greater Phoenix area. So any reading on this CMI over 110 is a seller's market. Any reading below 90 is a buyer's market. And we've been well over 110 for a very long time. However, we have been decreasing since March. We hit a peak and we've been coming down. Our peak was around 515, and today we're sitting at 390.2. If you watched my video last week, I said I was sure we would be under 400 this week, and sure enough, we are. And our decline on the CMI has actually accelerated as well, and I'll get into that in a second. But where we sit for our demand, 105.3, so that means we're 5.3% above normal. That hasn't changed too much. It's come down just ever so slightly, but not very significantly. And our supply is up to 27. So that means that we're 73% below normal. And we used to be sitting at 22 for a very long time. So 27 is a pretty good number for us to see for once. That definitely shows an increase in our supply. So I mentioned that I was going to talk about our decrease. And so we actually have come down 49 points in 30 days when you look at the pace of decline of the CMI this week. It's reading 49 points down in the last 30 days, which is the quickest decline we've had ever since we've been measuring how quickly the CMI is coming down. So 49 points is very fast, and that means we're headed towards a balanced market. Anything between 90 to 110 is considered balance. So the further we get below 400 and on and on and on, we're going to be at balance eventually. So if we continue to drop 49 points every month, our market would come to balance in 6 months at that rate. So assuming that same trajectory and nothing changes, we can expect the Phoenix market to be in a balanced market in 6 months. Now, again, that's if nothing changes, so that's very hard to say that that will come to fruition like that, but just gives you an idea of how quickly things are declining. In terms of the CMI, last week I talked about the Goodyear CMI being the only city that moved in the direction favorable for sellers. This week it went down, so never mind that. And we had a different city that moved in the direction favorable for sellers, and that's Cave Creek. So that's the only CMI that went up when we look and compare. So Cave Creek is that one. We only have 6 cities in the greater Phoenix area that are still above 400 on the CMI. And for a while, everything was above 400. So the only 6 that are above 400 are Avondale, Goodyear, Fountain Hills, Chandler, Glendale, and Cave Creek. Everything else is below 400 at this time. And with that, we actually have a few cities that are in the 200s. For a while, Tempe was the only one, but now we have quite a few. Levine and Litchfield Park, in addition to Tempe, all 3 of those are in the 200s on the CMI reading. So if you are a seller in any of those cities, and you've been on the fence about buying, it might be something that you want to consider a bit more seriously now that that has fallen into the 200 range. And, depending on how quickly it's going to be moving towards balance, doesn't mean you can't sell your house in a balanced market. It just means if you want to have more leverage as a seller, much easier to do that when we are in a pretty extreme seller's market. And that's something that I want to mention too. Like, none of this means sell your house now or forever hold your peace. It really just means, if you are trying to be very aggressive as a seller in terms of your price and not having to give any concessions to buyers whatsoever, this is the market to do it in. Because the more that we go towards balance, we may still be in a seller's market, but we just won't be in as strong of a market. And in that sense, the sale costs more to you as the seller because you end up giving some concessions for whether it's repairs or closing costs or those kinds of things that will be more prominent in that market because buyers have more choices. So that's just something to think about. Our days on market hit 8 for the first time since the beginning of January. So we've been about 6 days on market for the majority of this year, and then it ticked up to 7 a couple weeks ago, and now 8 days on market is the median number of days on market. So that's another indicator that our seller's market is weakening. And let's see, what else did I want to share? Oh, the most important thing. So if you are in any of these cities and looking at the CMI and you're wondering like how fast is the CMI in my major city going down towards balance, I have some data on a handful of those. I'm going to share the ones that are most quickly moving in that direction. So I mentioned in one of my videos a couple weeks ago that Anthem was moving the quickest towards balance. That's still the case. We're now at 1.1 months until it hits a balanced market if it continues in the way that it's going. And that's really quick. So a lot could change, even in 2 weeks. But if nothing really changes, that's definitely headed for balance. Levine, 1.9 months. Avondale, 2 months. Fountain Hills, 2.2 months. Gilbert, 2.5 months. Casa Grande, 2.7 months, which is crazy because just recently Casa Grande was heading in the direction for sellers, and then it just took a total turn. So it's interesting how fast that changed. Scottsdale, 4.2 months. So good to know any of those cities, if you're in those and thinking about selling, that could be coming pretty quickly for you. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was appreciation rates. Those have definitely started to decrease. So we were at 5% appreciation each month, then 2%, 1%. In a normal market, 0.5% appreciation each month is great. So just know that even though we're at 1%, it's still a good appreciation rate. It's just not what we're used to at 5%. But that's another indicator that things are softening a little bit. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to discuss further, check the description below. I have a link where you can set up a time to chat with me. I also have my contact information if you have any questions. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later in this week. Have a good day.